The demand from the stars. Emerges empire. For many years, Earth had been at peace. Nations no longer fought wars. People were focused on science, space travel, and building a better future. Humans had even sent missions to Mars and built space stations around the moon. Everyone believed that the future was bright. Then one day, everything changed. It started with a strange sound on all devices: TVs, phones, computers, even satellites. At first, people thought it was a system error, but then the screens turned black. A symbol appeared, glowing in gold and red. It was not from Earth. Moments later, a face appeared on the screen. It was tall, with dark silver skin and glowing yellow eyes. Behind him, strange alien symbols floated in the air. The voice that followed was deep and cold. "I speak for the Galactic Council," the being said. "We are the rulers of this galaxy. Your planet, Earth, is now under our domain." People around the world froze in fear. Was this a joke? A movie promotion? But soon it became clear this was real. The alien continued. "Your species has advanced far enough to be noticed. You have expanded into space. You have touched the stars. Now you must pay tribute." People whispered in confusion. Tribute? What did that mean? The alien explained. "Every new species that joins our galaxy must give something to show respect. You must send us rare minerals, technology, and workers. In return, you will be protected. You will be allowed to live." The screen flickered again. A countdown started. 7 days. Earth had 7 days to respond. Across the world, panic spread. News channels play the alien message over and over. Social media exploded. Some people believed it was fake. Others were terrified. Governments called emergency meetings. In Washington, D.C., military leaders, scientists, and politicians gathered. The UN held a global emergency conference. Every country, no matter how big or small, wanted answers. Who were these aliens? What was the Galactic Council? Could they really harm Earth? In a secret room under the United Nations building, a small group of leaders sat around a table. Among them was Captain Mira Lane, a young but smart military strategist. She had studied alien signals for years. She had always believed there was something out there. Now she was seeing it for herself. "They are testing us," Mira said. "They want to see if we'll kneel or stand." An older general shook his head. "We don't even know how powerful they are. If they can take over all screens on Earth at once, their tech is far ahead of ours. But we cannot just give in," Mira replied. "We've come so far. We are not slaves. We are not weak." The room fell silent. Everyone knew she was right. But they also knew that fighting a galactic empire might mean the end of Earth. At the same time, in cities around the world, people protested. "We are not property," they shouted. "Earth belongs to humans." Children cried. Parents worried. Scientists worked day and night to study the alien signal. They found it had come from deep space, from a massive ship hiding behind Earth's moon. More information came in. The ship was over 30 kilometers long. It carried thousands of alien soldiers. It had weapons that could destroy cities from orbit. The alien who had spoken called himself Prime Harold Varax. He was part of an old and powerful empire that ruled many planets. Earth was just the newest planet on their list. But humans were different from other species they had conquered. The Council expected fear. They expected quick surrender. Instead, they saw confusion, then anger, and then silence. For the next 2 days, Earth sent no reply. The Galactic Council grew impatient. They sent another message. "Your time is ending. Tribute or destruction. Choose wisely." But still, Earth said nothing. In the middle of the third night, Captain Mira stood alone on the rooftop of the UN building. She looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, a massive alien ship was waiting for an answer. She closed her eyes. "We're not afraid," she whispered to herself. We've been through wars, disasters, and death, but we never kneel. Not now. Not ever. The next morning, the world would finally respond, and it would do so not with fear, but with a single word. A word that would change the future of Earth forever. Voices of Earth, the word before the war, approximately 800 words. The alien message echoed across the planet again and again. People could not sleep. They could not focus. The countdown kept ticking. Only 4 days remained. But something had changed. Fear was still there, yes, but something else was growing too. Anger, defiance, unity. In every country, on every screen, people asked the same question. Why should we bow? Earth had never faced a threat like this. But Earth had also never been more united. Old enemies sat down at the same table. Powerful nations shared secrets. Scientists and soldiers worked side by side. The planet was no longer divided. It was one voice. In a quiet room beneath Earth's largest defense command, leaders met again. A giant digital map showed the alien ship still hovering silently behind the moon. Its name had been translated from the alien signal, Empire Hammer. It was not just a ship, it was a symbol of power, a tool of control. They had used it before. Other planets had surrendered the moment the ship appeared. The Council thought Earth would do the same. They were wrong. Captain Mira Lane stood beside a screen, showing Earth's options. "We can fight," she said, "but we may not win." A Russian general grunted. "So we just give them what they want." Mira looked around the table. "No," she said calmly. "We give them our answer, and we let them decide what happens next." An old scientist raised his hand. "But what will we say? Do we explain our history? Our right to freedom? Do we ask for time?" Mira shook her head. "We say one thing. Just one word." The room went quiet. Everyone looked at her. She smiled, but there was no humor in it. They didn't ask for peace. They didn't ask to talk. They gave us an order. Now we give them a reply. Later that night, the world leaders agreed. The message would be sent from a global station orbiting Earth. No long speech, no fear, no apology. Just one word. Across the stars, on board the Empire Hammer, Prime Herald Varak stood in silence. He watched the countdown as it reached 2 bays left. The other alien commanders were already laughing. "Primitive minds," said one with sharp green eyes. "They don't even understand the gift of being ruled," another added. But Varax was not laughing. He had seen something strange in Earth's silence. The humans did not reply like others. They were not begging. They were not crying. They were waiting. Waiting for the perfect moment. "Send one final warning," Varax ordered. "Then prepare the weapons. If they resist, we strike." Back on Earth. At dawn, the skies were quiet. The air felt still. It was as if the whole world was holding its breath. On every screen, a new signal appeared. This time, it was from Earth. A simple black screen. One line of text. A voice read it slowly. A female voice. Calm. Brave. It said, "Humanity's answer to your tribute is simple. No." That was it. One word. No music. No images. No flag waving in the background. Just that word. No. The message was sent directly to the Galactic Council's frequency, and within seconds, it spread everywhere. Social media exploded. People in every country cheered. Children shouted "no" in the streets. Old war veterans smiled. Even those who were afraid now felt strong. They had spoken as one planet. On the alien ship, Varax stared at the message. "No," he repeated. His voice was cold. The alien commanders stopped laughing. "No one has ever replied like this," one said. "Maybe they don't understand," another added. But Varax knew the truth. "They understand exactly," he said quietly. "They know what's coming." Silence filled the war chamber. Then Verax turned to his officers. Prepare the invasion. If they will not give tribute, they will burn. Earth prepares. But Earth was not waiting to be attacked. Captain Mira was already in space, commanding a new orbital defense ring. It was Earth's strongest weapon, still untested in real war. She looked at the stars, where she knew the Empire hammer was hiding. They're coming, one officer said. Mira nodded. Let them. The screen flashed. Alien ships were moving. Earth had answered. And now, the galaxy would learn what that answer truly meant. One word, the silence before the storm, approximately 800 words. The word had been sent. No, just 2 letters, but they hit the galaxy like thunder. The Galactic Council had ruled for thousands of years. Dozens of planets had fallen before their power. Species far more advanced than humans had submitted quickly. Some offered gold, others gave soldiers. All of them had bowed. But not Earth. This small blue planet had dared to say no. And now, silence filled the stars. On board the Empire hammer, Prime Herald Verax stood at the front of the war chamber. The alien commanders were no longer smiling. They stared at the message again and again. Is this their final word? One of them asked. Verax nodded slowly. Yes, they mean it. He pressed a button. A large screen showed Earth's orbit. Dozens of alien warships were already on the move, black and silver, shaped like giant knives in space. They were fast, silent, and armed with weapons that had destroyed moons. Begin the march, Verax ordered. Make them regret that word. On Earth, in space, near Earth's orbit, a small group of human ships waited. They were not as big. They were not as fast. But they had something the aliens didn't understand. Purpose. Inside the control center of the orbital defense ring, Captain Mira Lane watched her screen closely. Every heartbeat sounded louder than the alarms. The alien fleet is moving, her officer reported. How many? Mira asked. 23 warships, 2 carriers, 1 command vessel. Mira exhaled. The Empire hammer. The ship was enormous. A floating city of death. It was now heading toward Earth. She stood tall. All defense units, hold position. Do not fire until I say. Meanwhile, on the planet, people were watching. On every screen, from Tokyo to Nairobi, from New York to small villages in the mountains, humans stared at the live feed from space. Children held their parents' hands. Old veterans saluted. The world was not running. It was standing. Because they had said no. The first shot. High above the Earth, the alien fleet approached fast. Then one of their ships fired. A thin red beam of light shot through the darkness. It hit one of Earth's outer satellites and melted it instantly. A warning. Captain Mira's screen lit up. Direct hit on satellite, an officer said. Mira didn't flinch. Then it begins. She raised her hand and gave the command. Fire. The battle begins. Dozens of human space weapons came to life. Railguns fired superheated metal at high speed. Satellites launched hidden missiles. Eye-guided drones swarmed into space like metal bees. The first alien ship was hit straight in its core. A huge explosion lit up the dark. Pieces floated away silently. Cheers erupted in mission control. But it was not over. The alien fleet returned fire. Blue and red energy beams crossed the skies. Earth's defense ring was hit. 2 human satellites were destroyed. Still, Mira stood strong. Keep going, she said. Make them bleed. Inside the Empire hammer, Verax watched in silence. He had not expected this. These humans, they're organized, one commander said. They're unpredictable, another added. Verax narrowed his eyes. They are dangerous. No one replied. For the first time, the council was facing resistance that felt different. This wasn't just a military fight. This was a fight of belief. Earth's hidden surprise. Suddenly, Something new appeared on radar, a strange signal moving toward the alien fleet. "What is that?" Verax asked. It was Earth's secret weapon, an experimental war drone called Titan-class Echo. It looked like a small ship, but it carried powerful EMP charges. It moved fast and struck hard. Before the aliens could react, the drone exploded near one of their largest ships. A silent blue wave spread across space. 5 alien ships went dark. Their lights shut down. Their weapons froze. They began to drift. Earth had just turned the tide. Back on Earth, Mira smiled for the first time. They didn't expect that. Her officer grinned. "We might actually win." But Mira knew better. "This isn't about winning," she said. "It's about being heard." In every country, people were watching the battle in awe. Some cried, some cheered, but all of them understood one thing. That one word had power. No. And now, the galaxy was listening. First contact, first fire. The day aliens touched Earth. Approximately 800 words. The space battle above Earth raged on, but the war was far from over. The Empire hammer had not yet moved. It floated behind the alien fleet like a shadow, waiting, watching. But then, everything changed. A new command was given by Prime Herald Verax himself. "Send the ground force," he said coldly. "Let them feel our power on their own soil." The landing begins. Across Earth's skies, fireballs appeared. At first, people thought it was meteors. Then the truth became clear. Drop pods. Hundreds of them. They crashed into deserts, mountains, forests, and cities. Each pod carried alien soldiers, tall and armored in black and silver. Their eyes glowed red, and their weapons hummed with deadly energy. Earth was no longer just watching a war in space. The war had come home. First contact. Paris, Earth. In the streets of Paris, people screamed and ran. An alien drop pod had crashed near the Eiffel Tower. Smoke rose into the sky. Buildings shook. Alien soldiers stepped out in perfect formation. They pointed their weapons at civilians. One soldier raised his hand and spoke in a deep voice, using a translator. "Submit. You are now under the rule of the Galactic Council." But something unexpected happened. The crowd didn't kneel. Instead, a group of French police officers stood in front of the people, guns ready. One of them, an old officer with a calm face, said, "You're not welcome here." Then he fired the first bullet. It bounced off the alien's armor, but it was the message that mattered. Earth would fight everywhere. Around the world, resistance ignites. In Brazil, soldiers defended the Amazon from alien machines trying to take natural resources. In India, villagers with homemade weapons slowed down alien troops in the mountains. In South Africa, old rebel fighters returned to the battlefield, leading people through forests to ambush the invaders. Even in Alaska, hunters used snowmobiles and drones to trap and destroy alien patrols. This was not just a battle of armies. It was a fight of everyday people. Earth had become a battlefield, and humans were not running. Captain Mira's descent. Captain Mira Lane couldn't stay in space any longer. She suited up and entered a dropship with her elite team. They landed in New York City, where another alien pod had arrived near Central Park. As she stepped out, gun in hand, she looked at the destroyed trees and burning cars. Alien troops were scanning humans for identification. Mira raised her weapon. "Let's give them a welcome they'll remember," she said. Her team moved fast, firing, flanking, and using Earth's streets as cover. They didn't have alien tech, but they had something better: heart. Inside the Empire hammer, Verax watched the ground battles on many screens. He expected to see humans begging. Instead, he saw humans resisting in every place. Children throwing rocks, firefighters rescuing people under alien fire, farmers protecting villages. "These creatures," an alien officer said, "they're everywhere. They don't retreat. Verax said nothing, but deep inside, he was confused. Most species gave up once the ground force landed. But Earth was different. He looked at the single word Earth had sent days ago. No, it was becoming clearer what that word really meant. It didn't just reject the Council. It challenged them. A new kind of fire. Back in New York, Mira and her team found themselves pinned down. Alien drones flew above them, scanning and firing. Suddenly, a young engineer named Rico pulled out a strange device. "I made this last year," he said. "It's untested." "What does it do?" Mira asked. "Disrupts energy signals for 5 seconds. Might work, might explode." Mira smiled. "That's good enough for me." Rico activated the device and threw it into the air. A wave of light burst out. The alien drones froze midair and then crashed to the ground. Mira didn't waste time. "Move. Hit them hard." The team charged, pushing back the aliens with old bullets and human courage. Message to the galaxy. As the ground battle continued, Earth sent out a second message. It wasn't just a word this time. It was a video. It showed humans, young, old, soldiers, students, all standing in different parts of the world, holding signs. Every sign had the same word. No. No to fear. No to slavery. No to the Council. The message was sent across the stars. Planets under the Council saw it. Some began to whisper, "If Earth can say no, maybe we can too." The battle of belief, when fear began to fall. Approximately 800 words. The war was no longer about tribute. It had become something bigger. The Galactic Council had always ruled through fear. Planets obeyed not because they wanted to, but because they were afraid of the Empire hammer. Now something had changed. That fear was starting to crack, and Earth was the reason. Inside the Empire hammer, Prime Herald Verax stood in the war chamber, his hands behind his back. Every screen showed Earth's surface burning, but it also showed something else. Humanity standing strong. In the mountains, villagers pushed back alien patrols with snow-covered traps. In cities, humans worked together, soldiers, civilians, hackers, fighting like they were one. Even children helped carry supplies and spread messages. One alien commander looked nervous. They fight with fire in their hearts. Not strategy, not technology. Something else. Verax stared at the screen. They believe. The room went silent. No one had spoken about belief for years. Earth's new message. In the middle of the chaos, Earth sent a new message. This time, it wasn't for the Galactic Council. It was for the rest of the galaxy. Broadcasted from the moon base, it showed faces from across Earth. Different colors, cultures, ages, looking into the camera. Their voices spoke together. "We are not the strongest. We are not the oldest. But we are free. And we said no. If you are under their rule, remember this. You can say it too." It was a message of hope. And in faraway parts of the galaxy, someone was listening. Resistance sparks. On a distant mining planet called Carex 9, a worker saw the message in secret. He had worked in the Council's mines for 40 years, chained and silent. That night, for the first time, he whispered, "No." On the planet Selphar, a rebel ship hiding in deep space powered up again. Its captain had been silent for years, but now she was watching Earth fight. She smiled. They lit the fire. Let's add fuel. Messages began to move across space, planet to planet, moon to moon. Earth's no was becoming a movement. Captain Mira's moment. On Earth, Captain Mira Lane led a push to retake a major power station in Canada. It had been captured by alien forces 2 days earlier. She and her team hid in the cold snow, studying enemy movement. A young soldier beside her shivered. "Captain, we can't hold them forever." Mira looked at the sky. "We don't need forever. We just need to remind them what humans do when we're cornered." She gave the signal. Explosions rocked the ground. Humans charged out of the snow, firing old rifles and home-built launchers. The aliens were surprised again. They always thought strength was in metal and fire. But Earth's strength was something they couldn't touch. Back on the Empire hammer, Verax watched another of his ships fall. His voice stayed calm, but inside, a storm was growing. "This is not how it was supposed to go," he said. An officer walked in, pale and shaken. "Sir, we're receiving unusual transmissions. From Earth." "No, from Council-controlled planets. Some are refusing orders, others are going silent." Verax's eyes narrowed. The fire is spreading. He turned to the command screen and opened a channel to the entire Council. "The humans are not just fighting with weapons," he said. "They are attacking our foundation, belief." Doubt in the Council. In a large hall on a Council planet called Xenthra, leaders from many alien species sat together, watching Earth's broadcast. One old leader, with blue skin and 4 eyes, stood up. "We have ruled with fear, but fear fades. These humans, they teach something dangerous." "Dangerous?" another asked. "Yes, they teach freedom." Some in the room gasped, but others nodded. Even among the rulers, doubt was growing. Mira's voice. Later that night, Captain Mira Lane stood in front of a small camera. She had cuts on her face, her armor damaged, but her eyes were bright. She recorded a short message for the galaxy. "To those still watching, we are humans. We don't have empires, but we do have will. We don't want to destroy you. We just want to be free. If that makes us enemies, then we will stand, even if we're the last." The message was sent, and the stars listened. Respect earned. The word that changed the stars. Approximately 800 words. The war had reached its peak. Above Earth, alien ships still hovered, but many were silent now. On the ground, the alien soldiers no longer pushed forward. Some had fallen back. Some had even lowered their weapons. Not out of fear, but out of confusion. They had never seen a world fight like this. Not with numbers, not with power, but with belief. The belief that freedom was worth dying for. That one word, no, was stronger than any fleet. Inside the Empire hammer, mutiny in the shadows, Prime Herald Verax stood alone in the war chamber. His officers were gone. Some had left quietly. Some had refused orders. Some had simply walked away after seeing what Earth truly was. Screens blinked with red warnings. Earth's resistance had grown stronger. Every attempt to crush their spirit had failed. And now, the Council itself was starting to fracture. Messages were coming in from distant Council worlds. "We support Earth. The tribute system must end. No more silence." Verax stared at the glowing word still burned into the corner of his main screen. No, he hated it, but he couldn't ignore it. Captain Mira's final move. On the surface, Captain Mira Lane stood atop a ruined building in New York. Smoke curled around her boots. Her uniform was torn. Her arm was wounded, but her mind was sharp. She received the signal from space. Incoming message, Galactic Council. Peace request. She stared at it, then looked around. Families were helping each other. Soldiers were carrying the wounded. Drones were repairing broken buildings. A child gave her a thumbs up from behind a street barrier. She smiled, just a little. "They're ready to talk," she said. The call across the stars. The Council sent a new message, this time not as rulers, but as equals. A tired-looking alien appeared on Earth's screens. "We see now what we did not before," the voice said. "You are not just another planet. You are not just another species. You are something new. You said no, and your answer has awakened many." A moment of silence followed. "We offer peace, no tribute, no control, only respect." Earth responds. The world paused. For the first time in days, the skies were quiet. People gathered across cities, fields, rooftops. No bombs, no fire. Just one choice. Mira stood before a global camera. Her voice was calm. Earth accepts peace, but not because we fear you, because we want a galaxy built on respect, not control. She looked up at the stars. And if you ever forget that, remember this: we still remember how to say no. Across the galaxy, a new fire. The word no spread far beyond Earth now. It became a symbol. On planets where people lived under fear, it became hope. On rebel flags, it became a spark. In dark rooms, where council spies once ruled, it became a whisper. We are not alone. Even young children across alien worlds began drawing the word on walls, not knowing Earth's language, but understanding its meaning. Years later, a monument on the moon. The war was over. The council had changed. Not fully, not yet, but cracks had formed. And from those cracks, freedom grew. On Earth's moon, a monument stood tall. It wasn't a statue of a person. It was a single metal block. Smooth, clean, unmarked, except for one thing. One word, carved deep in every known language of the galaxy. No. Under it, a small line was added later. The word that shook empires. Captain Mira's legacy. Mira Lane never asked for medals. She never called herself a hero. But her name was remembered on every human ship that left Earth after the war. A fighter. A voice, a symbol of the moment humanity stood up and said it would never kneel again. Her face was printed on posters. Her speech was taught in schools. Her belief traveled with every human colony into deep space. And every time a new world faced fear or control, they remembered one thing. Sometimes one word is enough.